Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. Finally, FPL is back. Game week 4 deadline stream. It's been a while. Right, so I am absolutely stoked for this game week. I made a double change last night before any potential price rises, but it's been the same as per all the moves that I've discussed throughout the whole of the international break, which is that I was always going to bring in Salah, and Minte is the other player that I've brought in. Players I've removed, it's Gordon and Saka. So I'll discuss a bit of my team and also get to some of your questions, but there's a lot of things to talk about, I guess, in terms of the injury space, players returning from injury, and also potential Haaland leaks, hopefully, if we get it. Because, I mean, obviously, condolences to Erling Haaland, lost a family friend, but the news is that, Pep is going to assess today as to whether Erling Haaland is going to play or not. So that remains to be seen. We'll see if we get leaks as well. But this is where we're at in terms of game week 4. It's a couple of hours to go, so we're still early as always. So thank you guys for coming down early. Let me say hi to some of you guys. It is very bright and early today. Joseph, nice to see you in the chat. Up early and ready to go. Very nice. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you guys are watching from. If you guys haven't already, please do drop a like on the stream as we get started for today. Muhammad Razin as well, good morning, nice to see you. Chun Xiang Wong says, hey, for the best goalkeeper on a wildcard as a backup, should I get Flecken, Henderson, or Raya? At this point, I would probably go for... Okay, so Fabianski may not be as good as a 4.0 option as we thought he would be, because Areola seems to be back fit already. So in terms of goalkeepers, it's really, do you want to go for 5.5 in Raya, or do you want to go for the 4.5 million bracket? And I would say if I was in a wild card, I'd still go for the 4.5. As an FPL manager, I don't really like to keep a lot of money in the goalkeeper position. So I would still tend towards a 4.5, in which case, for this particular game week, I think Henderson's fixtures is better than Flecken. But if you're looking really long term for the wild card, then I may just bite the bullet and go with Flecken. Take maybe the tougher fixtures for game week 4 and 5, but after that from game week 6 it looked good. So if I was on a wild card, not ideal to start with Flecken, but I probably still go there with a long-term view in mind. Ricky, Samember, nice to see you in the chat. Good morning to all of you guys. Kyle says, should I start Nedeljkovic or Anderson? I'm not so sure that Nedeljkovic would start. I mean, we saw already a couple of variations that they went for that Nedeljkovic didn't start. So I'll probably go Anderson. I do think Anderson starts this week. Osman, good morning, nice to see you. Who is your first choice goalkeeper? Well, it depends what situation you're in. It depends if you are on a wild card. If you guys want a wildcard draft as well, it's probably going to look the same as my latest draft, but if you guys want to do a wildcard draft on the stream, let me know. We can pull up the Plan FPL transfer planner and we can get a wildcard draft going, but I don't think it will look too dissimilar from what I've already put up earlier this week. Haaland's head-to-head record against Brentford, not as good as Salah's against Nottingham Forest. Yeah, but I mean, this week is slightly closer. Like, for sure this week is closer. Next week in game week 5, it'd be clear-cut. Salah is the, outright good captain, or best captain, because he has Bournemouth, and then Haaland has Arsenal. But honestly, this week it's close. So I'm not going to put anyone off a Salah captain. Like, if you want to go there, that's perfectly fine as well. Captain Watkins, I probably wouldn't go there. What about Martinez, and will Palmer play? So thoughts on Martinez is that I'm starting to get a little bit wary of Aston Villa's Champions League involvement, and also how that would affect their performances in the Premier League. So because of that, I'm probably going to prefer a bit of rotation, where, for example, if you have Konza, then you can rotate him with another defender. So you don't have to start Konza every single week. But if it's someone like Martinez, and he's your first choice keeper, and you just have a 4.0 million bench fodder keeper on the bench that you can't play, then you have to start Martinez every week, in which case maybe that's not the most ideal. So that's my thoughts on Martinez. For Palmer-wise, I think Palmer's in training. He's pictured in training, so I think he should start. Strider Isak to Welbeck and Saka to Salah for a -4. Planning to Wildcard in game week 6. Right. So this is the I think the most popular question for this week, like whether you would do Saka to Salah for a -4. I still don't think that I like that move. I still prefer to do it for free, especially the Saka to Salah move. Like, I would do that for free. I wouldn't do it for a hit. Now, say for example, we get news that Haaland somehow doesn't start today. Then maybe that changes things, because then you would be bringing Salah in to captain, in which case it might be worth -4. So I think it really depends on if we get any news later on Erling Haaland. I mean, the word currently is that, the latest from Pep is that he would be assessed today. He'll be asked whether he's mentally and physically ready. My guess is that he will be. But obviously it's guesswork now. It's completely guesswork. But what I will say is that last season, when unfortunately Erling Haaland also lost his grandmother, he did play in the game that followed her passing as well. So I mean, not ideal situations as always. But yeah, if there's anything to go by, potentially he will start against Brentford. Isak to Welbeck though, if you're talking about a Brighton forward, I would actually prefer João Pedro still. And I think João Pedro starts, like for those of you who are asking. What were your moves? My moves were Saka and Gordon to Salah and Minte, both for free. I took a -8, saving my wildcard for game week 6. Hopefully that works out. Who to captain? Eze, Palmer, Jota, and João Pedro. And nice to see you, Vincent, in the chat, member as well. Between Eze, Palmer, Jota, and João Pedro, right? So I favor the penalty takers, in which case Jota is out of there. For Eze, I think he's actually a very good captaincy shout. If I didn't have Salah and I didn't have Haaland, then I would captain Eze. But I think if I'm to rank, I'll probably still do Haaland first choice, Salah second choice, and Eze third choice. That's how I go. And also, just on the fact that I'm keeping my captain's armband on Haaland, I think is worth discussing a little bit as well. My guess is that if he's not ready, I don't think he'll be in the squad at all. There's obviously an off chance that he can be in the squad but that doesn't play, but I don't see a reason why that would be the case. Like, if he's mentally and physically not ready to play, why would he even be in the squad? They may as well just replace the spot that he's taking on the bench with someone else who's ready to go. So I do think it's safe enough to still captain Haaland, and then just make sure that you have a good vice captain. Like, so in my case, I'm vice captaining Salah. For those of you, say for example, you don't have Salah and you have Eze, for example, then make sure that you captain Haaland if you want to, and then vice captain Eze. Right, so the vice captaincy this week will be quite important in the event that Haaland doesn't start. Right, there's already 106 of you guys in the chat, so at watching as well. So please do drop a like on the stream if you haven't already. Please do subscribe as well. We are close to 9,000 subscribers, so hopefully we can get there. And I think there's a chance as well. I mean, someone pointed it out to me recently, but I think there's a chance we may hit 1 million views on today's stream. Like if we're able to get, I think, about 4,000 views on today's stream, we might be able to hit 1 million views since the inception of the channel. So that is quite a milestone. So I thank all of you guys for the support. It's been an incredible journey. Right, let me see where I left off. Alright, so I have Smith Rowe and Porro in my starting 11. Am I cooked? Smith Rowe is fine. Smith Rowe is fine. I know there are a couple of people starting Porro as well. It's not the worst thing in the world. In fact, like Porro and Gabriel, it's close this week. Not starting Smith Rowe and Porro, yes. Having them on the bench. I simply have other players that want to start ahead of him. Guys, do we think Foden might be back up to Haaland this season? I'm concerned Haaland's minutes today. So Foden's back in training, yep. But I still think he'll be eased back. Like I don't think he starts immediately. Am I stupid for keeping Isak and selling Gordon for DS and Smith Rowe for Mitoma for free? I think that's fine. That's fine. It's fine to keep Isak. Like it's fine to keep Isak. It's fine to keep Saka as well. Like, for those of you guys who have to keep both even, it is completely fine. Should I sell Trent to free up funds for Salah on a wildcard? Yeah, if I was on a wildcard, I'd probably go Robertson. Thoughts on Walker playing today to replace Lewis? I'll always say that there's always that chance. Like, we never know with Pep, but I'll say there's always that chance. But if anything is to go by based on recent performances, I think Lewis is looking really good. And what they offer at their respective positions is slightly different. Like Lewis at right back is allowed to invert, but Walker at right back, he does not really invert as much, and it's Vardiel who's the one that's inverting if Walker plays. So what they offer is quite different. So I think really it's going to be based on the system that Pep wants to use. If he wants to go for a slightly more, I don't know if the word is aggressive, like a slightly more aggressive kind of attacking play, then maybe Lewis is the one that comes in. If not, maybe then if he wants, like for example, the Arsenal game that we're going to see in game week 5, I imagine that could be a game where Kyle Walker plays because he wants a little bit more stability at the back. In which case, if Walker plays, then Vardiel is the one that's inverting. So we should get more information soon, I think. But it's always going to be a risk if you are a Lewis owner. But if you have Rico Lewis, just start him. Like, I wouldn't think too much. Saka for Palmer, not this week. I wouldn't sell Palmer for Saka this week. Eze captain perhaps, yeah. That works. If you don't have Salah, if you don't have Haaland, you could go there. He's just not the, I guess, outright captain that I go for. Toby, nice to see you in the chat. Joel, nice to see you in the chat as well. 10,000 subscriber party. Let's try to get there. I mean, we gotta continue grinding the content. But we're on the road. We're on the road to get there. So hopefully we can do it. I'm also planning to see if I should do a kind of a 10,000 subscriber Q&A if we get there. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the chat. Like, what do you want a 10,000 subscriber Q&A? Lewis for the long term, I can only give an answer to this after the Arsenal game. Like if Rico Lewis starts that game, I'd be pretty confident he's quite safe for the next few. Then the question is, like Kyle Walker, when would he come in, right? Because I think Pep is quite fond of Walker as well. Like yes, he's singing praises of Rico Lewis, but I also think he's very fond of Walker. So there's risk. Defense is in shambles, going to wildcard in game week 6. Haven't mentioned I have Bruno, Jota, Isak, which isn't contributing much. To be fair, Bruno has Southampton, Jota has Nottingham Forest this week, and Isak has Wolves. Like, those are all perfectly fine fixtures. Like, all good. Mohammed says, Roger's still not giving you points yet. Uncle Roger will be mad. He will indeed. If he blanks again, I start to get a bit mad. But I mean, he's 5 million though. Like, I have to taper my expectations a little bit as well. Like he's at 5 million. Am I expecting him to return every single game week? Maybe not. Already for him to be starting week in, week out, quite a bargain already. To maybe have him as an enabler on a wildcard when I wildcard in game week 6, I might have to think about it. Keep Smith Rowe or transfer for a -4. I think he's fine to keep. Jackson or Solanke for game week 4 to game week 17. Great question. This is a great one. I might say Jackson for this week. Yeah, Jackson, and then maybe later on can move to Solanke. Both are good long-term picks. Jackson or Solanke? Sorry, answer that. Bruno looks promising today. Yeah, he has Southampton. This could be the week that he punishes the sellers. And I see lots of people selling Bruno for Salah as well, which by all means is a perfectly fine move. But I mean, with all these kind of moves, like even the Isak to João Pedro move or the Saka to Salah move that I just made as well, like they all have potential to backfire. Should I sell Wood for João Pedro or roll? I think there's decent enough upside to sell Wood this week, to be honest. Demi says, keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Melo says, good morning. I'm on a wild card and I picked Palmer. Do you think he'll play? I think Palmer should start. He's fit and ready to go. Konza, Dunk, or Porro? If you mean start one this week, I would start Dunk. Will Haaland and Palmer start? So Haaland, I'm not so sure. Palmer, I'm a little bit more confident that he starts. He's pictured in training. Hi Leon, where are you from? I am from Singapore. Would you rather start Smith Rowe or Porro? Smith Rowe. I was 9k in the world and my team got deleted due to a controversial team name. Season over. Is that what happens? Is that what happens at if you have a controversial team name? I didn't know that. But hopefully they can work it out for you. I'm not sure if you send an email that SPL will work it out for you. You could give it a try. I'm on a wild card. Do you prefer two defenders from Liverpool and Salah, or Trent, Diaz, and Salah? Great question. Also, do I go for 3 Brighton players, or do I choose between João Pedro or Mitoma? Alright, so if you are on a wild card, you need to kind of have a longer term view in mind. Triple Liverpool would still be the case, and I would say I prefer the double defense combination. So Robertson, Trent, and Salah, that's the one I would go for. It just feels safer to me. And then, because bear in mind, Champions League is coming up soon. And then for Brighton players, I'd only have 2. 2 because if you have 3, game week 6 onwards, your team is going to look pretty bad. So you have to think about game week 6 onwards as well. So I probably only have 2 Brighton players. And if you're choosing between João Pedro and Mitoma, then it has to be João Pedro. Already done Hall to Pau. Would you do Wood to Pedro? Wood to Pedro is, if you need to start that position, then yes, I don't mind that move. But if Wood is someone you can just bench, then you don't have to make that transfer, to be honest. If Rodri plays, I think Walker will play soon. Lewis will drop. Lewis does not need to invert when Rodri is available. Fair enough. It could be that case as well. It could be. Start Jackson or Rodgers. Jackson for me. Yeah, Pep Roulette definitely gonna come back when Champions League starts. Fully expect the shock benchings to happen, to be honest. Wildcard now to bring in Salah or take a -4. again, if it's to sell Saka for Salah for a -4, I don't really like that. But it really hinges on whether Haaland is going to start or not. So hopefully we get some leaks on that one. Thoughts on Nketiah. So Nketiah has received quite some I would say good news from Glasner, because Glasner said quite or spoke quite highly of Nketiah, saying that they bought him, they spent quite a bit of money on him. Point is to play him pretty often. So I think in terms of minutes for Nketiah, I think moving forward he could be quite a decent option. But for now, I would like to see at least how he fits in. I rate him as a player, but I want to see how he fits into the team, especially with like players who just joined new teams as well. Like you saw Solanke, a lot of people hopped onto Solanke in game week 1. He blanked in game week 1, and then since then he's been injured. He's expected to be back for game week 4 for the North London derby. But something I would always think about is, even though a player might be really good individually, like fitting into a new system always takes a bit of time. So we'll see kind of what Nketiah provides in terms of FPL returns in the first few game weeks, or even how he fits in before I actually start to consider him as an option. But I do like him. My radar is on Nketiah. What if you get news Haaland is not playing? What is your move? I don't think I make any or do anything different, to be honest. Like if he doesn't start, like if we get news he's in the squad but he doesn't start, then I'll probably just bench him and play Smith Rowe, and I captain Salah. So I'll probably just do that. And I probably vice captain Isak as well, to be honest. But in terms of transfers wise though, I just wouldn't have to make extra transfers simply because I have Smith Rowe. So fortunately enough, I won't have to take a -4 if Haaland doesn't play. Would you rather start Saka or Porro? Still feeling guilty about transferring Isak out. I would start Saka if I have him. Ahead of Porro for sure. Sterling's a good shout. I need to see some minutes from him, to be honest. Would you do Smith Rowe to Eze? This week, yes, I like that move. Thinking about making a move this game week with Henderson, Bentley, Gabriel, Trent, Robinson, Howard, Bellis, Mikalenko, Winks, Salah, Palmer, Saka, Rogers. Probably a defensive transfer, yeah. I don't mind that, but I probably wouldn't sell. Are you wildcarding in game week 6 though? If you're wildcarding in game week 6, then... Oh wait, you're wildcarding in game week 13. Fair enough. If you intend to keep Robertson all the way, fair enough. I don't mind it. Is Konza starting? Konza is... I don't know if he definitely starts. My guess is yes, because he's fit. He's fit, according to what Emery just said. Are you from Singapore? Yes, I am from Singapore. One free transfer. Sorry, Havertz, Saka, Gabriel to Dunk, Salah, and João Pedro. I have 3 free transfers. Wow, you're selling 3 Arsenal players. I mean, do you plan to save your wildcard in game week 6? My guess is no, because if you're removing all your Arsenal players, you need all of them back in game week 6. So if your plan is to wildcard in game week 6, but I sell all my Arsenal assets now, you're pretty much locking yourself into a game week 6 wildcard though. So if you're fine with that, I don't mind these set of moves. But I'm seeing a couple of interesting questions. Let me put out a poll, because I want to see when you guys are considering wildcarding. There's quite a number of different windows, and based on the chats recently, it seems as if some of you guys are saving the wildcard. Some of you guys want to save it as well. So let's put a poll out. When do you plan to wildcard? Right, let's say game week. I'm assuming you're not using it in game week 4. Okay, if you're using it in game week 4, if you're using it in game week 4, you can just vote the null option. I'll just put a void option there. So game week 6, game week 8, game week 10/12, and I'll add last one is used already. So let me know when you guys intend to wildcard. I think it's going to be interesting because honestly speaking, I had a look at my wildcard window, like when exactly I plan to wildcard, and it definitely affects my moves in game week 4. So I'm sure for those of you who are kind of planning around your transfers as well, when you intend to wildcard is going to shape your moves quite a bit. So let me know in the poll when you guys intend to wildcard. Christopher says, "Would you do Smith Rowe to Minte?" I don't mind it. But by the same token as well, like Smith Rowe is perfectly fine to keep. Smith Rowe to Minte. I'm probably gonna say I don't like it as much as bringing João Pedro in for Chris Wood, for example. I'm more happy to keep Smith Rowe than I am to keep Chris Wood, is what I would say. When do you think Walker starts? Like, I think honestly once Champions League comes back, which is very, very soon, we're going to see Walker come in. Do you believe in a wild card without Haaland? For this week, again, if we get leaks, then obviously we could try to go without Haaland if he doesn't start. But when I think about it, my guess is that he will still play the Brentford game. So assuming that is the case, I would still have Haaland in the draft. And honestly carry him through from game week 4 onwards. It's different if you're wildcarding in game week 5. I've had a look at the game week 5 wildcard, and I think because of the fact that he is playing Arsenal in game week 5 and Newcastle in game week 6, there is more of a debate then to exclude him. But for example, if he starts against Brentford, you are going to want Erling Haaland. Which team do you support? I support Chelsea. Fortunately or unfortunately, but hopefully we're doing well this season. We just have so many players, we need to sort it out. But Noni Madueke looks really good though. Buy them back or wildcard in game week 6. Based on your moves to sell all your Arsenal players in now, you probably have the wildcard in game week 6 if I'm honest. Siva says, proud of you from Singapore. Always follow your deadline streams. Thank you very much, Siva. Will Joachim Anderson play? My guess is that he does. I can't tell you for sure if he will, but my guess is that he does. Mandeep says, got 3 free transfers, 0 in the bank. Thinking Kunku to 4.5 mid, 4.5 striker up to Pedro or Welbeck, Kwanzaa to Power down. Yes, those are a good set of 3 transfers. Those look good. Please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you very much, VJ. If you guys haven't already, please do drop a like on the stream and subscribe as well. We are very, very close to 8,700 subscribers. And also for those of you guys who just joined, there's a potential that we hit 1 million views since the inception of the channel today. So if we get there, I'll put out a post on Instagram or a tweet if you guys follow me there, just to thank you guys for all the support. It's incredible. It's incredible. I never imagined when I started the channel that I'd be able to hit 1 million views. So yeah, I can't do it without you guys. So thank you all so much. Thank you for the super chat, Joel. We really appreciate it. All right. I prefer to start both Porro and Gabriel for this game week rather than starting one of Morgan Gibbs-White or Wood against Liverpool. What is your view? To be fair, I like that the Liverpool defense is looking more and more solid as we go forward. So I can understand why you wouldn't want to start Gibbs-White or Chris Wood. For Porro and Gabriel though, Porro I'm fine to bench. So it's Gabriel or for me Morgan Gibbs-White. Because Gibbs-White is likely on penalty. So if I'm to start Gabriel or Morgan Gibbs-White, I'll probably start Gabriel to be honest. So yeah, I agree with you. I'll probably start Gabriel and then bench the rest. Do you think it's worth taking a -4 point hit to transfer out Pickford for a keeper, more likely to keep a clean sheet? Money in the bank, so all options available. When do you intend to wildcard? If you intend to wildcard in, say for example, game week 6, I might just spend the transfers elsewhere to upgrade other areas of your team. If not, if you're perfectly fine elsewhere, then a keeper transfer for free should be worth it. For -4 though, I don't think I would do it. Palmer info. My guess is he starts, but we don't have any leaks at this point. Let me just check if we have anything from Twitter in terms of team leaks. Not expecting to see anything, to be honest. We're so early today. Yeah, nothing in terms of, let me just check for Erling Haaland. Yep, nothing yet. We are early today, There's already, by the way, there's like 243 of you guys here, so thank you all for tuning in so early on a Saturday morning. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and support the channel. That would be very, very much appreciated. Right, I'm quite far behind in the chat. Let me just get back to the questions. Can triple captain Haaland? Triple captain Haaland this week? Maybe not. When there's a bit of doubt here, I probably wouldn't. And also, I mean, mentally, I don't want to, put myself in a situation if I'm triple captaining Haaland because of the fact that, things have recently happened to him, so you don't really know if he's really in a good state. So you'd change Muniz to João Pedro instead of Smith Rowe to Minte. That is slightly different. Because I was comparing Wood to João Pedro and Smith Rowe to Minte. If it's between either of those two, like would I sell Muniz to Pedro? Smith Rowe to Minte. I think the upside is greater for the Muniz to João Pedro move. So yes, I would change Muniz to Smith Rowe. Muniz to João Pedro instead of Smith Rowe to Minte. Too many names. Which combo do you prefer for this game week? Smith Rowe and João Pedro versus Havertz and Minte. Oh wait, Pedro Porro or João Pedro? Let me know who it is. If it's Pedro Porro, then I prefer the Havertz and Minte one. If it is João Pedro though. Smith Rowe and João Pedro. Havertz and Minte. Smith Rowe and João Pedro still, so I probably go both, whether it's João Pedro or whether it's... Sorry, if it's Smith Rowe and João Pedro, I'll go Smith Rowe and João Pedro. If it's Smith Rowe and Pedro Porro, then I prefer Havertz and Minte. All the tongue twisters, honestly. Thoughts on KDB on a wild card. So I like the fact that KDB is getting 90 minutes. Like, to be honest, the past few seasons, he's always been a player that always gets injured now and then, but he's been getting decent minutes. My only concern is that when Champions League comes back, does Kevin De Bruyne continue to start week in, week out and also get 90 minutes? Like, I'm not so sure that will continue to happen, in which case, could be a bit of a risk if you go for him on a wild card. But I can see the appeal. It's just that he's pretty expensive at 9.5. So you spend an extra 0.5, you get Saka, who's on penalties, who's nailed. You spend an extra 0.5, you get Son, who's potentially also on penalties. Support Chelsea, why no Jackson? I got him. So unfortunately, I have to play FPL without any fan bias. So I do hope that as a Chelsea fan, that Chelsea assets start to become more of an option, to be honest. Like, that would be ideal. That would be ideal. Why captain Haaland over Salah? Because I have a feeling that if Haaland plays, if Haaland is mentally and physically alright to play, he will start the game. If not, he wouldn't come on at all. In which case, then my vice captain would be activated. So I just have him as captain now, and then the vice captain, I have it on Salah. There's also every chance. I mean, there's a chance that they can just start Foden if they really have to. They can just start Foden in the false 9 position. Like, he's played there before. Like, say for example, Haaland is really not in a good state to play. I think there's a good chance they can just start Foden in the number 9 spot, like a false 9 kind of position that he used to play last time. Perfectly viable. But for the kind of situation where we don't get leaks, for example, then I probably just keep it as whatever is on the screen right now. In your opinion, having Trent, Robinson, Harvard Bellis, Mikalenko, and at most one free transfer, presuming shouldn't defense be fine and take it? Yeah, I mean, having Trent and Robertson, to be honest, is what I would have on a wild card now. I just prefer the safety of minutes, because I do imagine that once Champions League starts as well, like Jota and Diaz should see reduced minutes. Like, even if they start week in, week out, I should see some reduced minutes. That's my expectation. Should I do the Saka to Salah, Isak to João Pedro move with my 2 free transfers? Right, so put it this way. If I was in a position where my only route to Salah is to sell Saka and then downgrade Isak to João Pedro, I would do it. If, say for example, I didn't have Gordon in that position. If I didn't have Gordon, because what I've done is I've sold Gordon and Saka. If I had Eze in that position instead, and I don't want to sell Eze, then I could very well have found myself in a spot where, like some of you guys, you would have done Isak to João Pedro and Salah to Saka to Salah. For my position, because I already have João Pedro, potentially what I would have done is Saka up to Salah and then Isak to Welbeck, for example. So I still bring in a Brighton player, but this time it'd be a forward. Then I get to keep Eze, like if I had Eze. So I actually worked out a couple of different variations for my moves, and some of them involve selling Isak as well. But I just came around to the idea that I'd just rather keep Isak and then sell Saka up to Salah. So it's very, very team dependent, but if I did find myself in a position where I need to sell Isak and Saka, I don't mind that move. So short answer is yes. Pooh says, well done for starting the channel. Thank you very much for the support. Appreciate every single one of you guys watching, by the way. Like, 261 of you guys watching is absolutely insane. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to me ramble on about FPL. What midfielder should I get with 6.2 million? It depends how long you need this midfielder. Short term wise, I actually really like Minte. if you're talking about Game Week 4 and Game Week 5 fixtures. Also, I know he's not 6.2, like he's at 6.5, but I actually like Szoboszlai. Like, Szoboszlai hasn't been mentioned enough. If I look back, Szoboszlai is currently, so Harvey Elliott is injured. He's going to be out for a while. Szoboszlai, minutes-wise, has been getting 90 minutes for the first 3 game weeks. So I'm quite keen on Szoboszlai, to be honest. Like, on a Game Week 6 wildcard, I know I put out a draft for an early Game Week 6 wildcard draft earlier this week, but I'm going to reconsider having Szoboszlai because he's only at 6.5. And the fact that Harvey Elliott is out means that Szoboszlai's minutes are better. So I'm going to seriously consider him on a Game Week 6 wildcard. I'll get back to you guys on it if I do include him there. I need advice on the best 4 million defender for wildcard. Currently got Keane from Everton. 4 million, not a lot of great options to be honest, but I go for Greaves because Ipswich fixtures, they're actually very high on the fixture ticker, Ipswich. Not that I expect them to keep a lot of clean sheets, but say for example you need to start Greaves against Southampton, for example. It's not the worst thing in the world. Look at the fixtures. So you can't see the kind of fixture difficulty rating on the right, but it's pretty much a sea of green. Brighton's not easy, but Southampton in Game Week 5, why not? Right, Aston Villa still not easy, but then there's West Ham, Everton, Brentford, Leicester. Like, if you need to, for example, start an Ipswich defender, it's really not the worst thing in the world for the next few game weeks. Nico Potato says, Haaland, how are you doing? I'm good. Hope you're well as well. Who is the best Gordon replacement? I have 7.5 million to spend. Eze, if you don't have him, I would go there. If I had enough money, I would have gone Eze myself as well. But if not, then I think you drop down to someone like a Minte, for example. Or Szoboszlai, if you want an outside shout. I like Szoboszlai. João Pedro Muniz, João Pedro for sure. Hey bro, Minte or Mitoma if you could afford either. If I could afford either, it would have been Mitoma. Like if I had more money as well, I would have gone for Mitoma. But I just have to settle with Minte. Which in all things considered, Minte's stats is still pretty decent. Savio says Saka/Gordon for Salah and Minte, or Gordon and Isak for Salah. Oh, this is exactly my combination of moves that I was considering. In which case I would tell you the Salah and Minte one then. Yeah, essentially you lock in the Game Week 6 wildcard. I agree with you. Essentially, I'm locking in the Game Week 6 wildcard by doing Minte in and Salah in. Spot on. So I really only made sure that I was ready for a Game Week 6 wildcard before I made the moves. Because I know if I bring in an extra Brighton player now, in Game Week 6 the team is going to look in shambles because I would have 3 Brighton players playing Chelsea away. Not ideal. So by all accounts, I am locked in to a Game Week 6 wildcard. Depending on results tomorrow and after today's matches, I'm probably going to do Saka and Isak for Salah and Wissa. I already have Haaland, João Pedro. Thoughts? Yeah, you will need Salah in Game Week 5 for sure, so I don't mind those moves. Especially selling Saka for Salah makes more sense in Game Week 5 when they have Arsenal and Man City. And I like Wissa as a shout. I like Wissa. So yeah, those look like good moves to be honest. Should I buy Xerxes on a wild card? I just wouldn't go to Manchester United assets. Right, I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit because I'm missing a lot of the chats. Binat says, whose chat is he reading? I'm just so far behind. But also because there's a lot of you guys in the chat today. So thank you all for tuning in. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to skip a couple of chats to keep up with it. So I hope you guys understand. Wiz, thank you very much. Ramadian says, will you do a -4 for Solanke to João Pedro / Welbeck and Saka to Salah and captain him too? If you're captaining him, for -4, I'd actually keep Solanke this week, because he plays Arsenal and he's rumoured to be ready as well. Not even rumoured, like Ange Postecoglou is the one who came out to say that Solanke's back in training. So for a -4 just to get Salah. Alright, if you're captaining him, I think it's a bit more reasonable. Wildcard without Haaland, what do you think? Depends on whether he's playing, to be honest. If he's not playing today, I think by all means you go without him. But if we don't get any news, I would just still include Haaland. Do you think Pedro and Haaland will start? For what it's worth, I think both will start. That's why they're in my starting 11. Alright, I'm going to quickly move on in the chat. Rogers or Semenyo, this week I will start Rogers. Captain Isak, not this week. Game week 7 not an option. Yeah, fair enough. Game week 7 is a decent time to wildcard as well. If you are... But my only thoughts about the Game week 7 wildcard is that if you're already... You're potentially losing out on one game week of value. The difference between a Game week 6 wildcard and a Game week 7 wildcard is mainly Liverpool assets. You get to hold Liverpool assets in Game week 6 for their Wolves away fixture, and then sell them in Game week 7 when you wildcard. So I don't mind it at all. It's just that you would lose an extra game week of value, and then the Arsenal players, you wouldn't have as many for Game week 7 when they have... Arsenal have... Who in Game week 7 again? Southampton, right? So that's when you wouldn't have... Game week 6, they would have Leicester, so you wouldn't have the Arsenal players for Leicester. Captain Haaland or Captain Salah, right? Let me change the poll there. Right, so I'm going to say the majority of you guys are on Game Week 6 wildcard based on what I've seen. There's about close to 300 of you guys voting. Game Week 6 wildcard, as expected, is going to be quite popular. So I'll have a wildcard draft ready for it, for sure. Right, so thank you for voting. Let me end the poll. And let's put Captaincy up. Who are you captaining for Game Week 5? Okay, I'm gonna put the So let's go Haaland, Salah, Eze, and then others. Let me know who you guys are captaining. Okay, cool. Let's get back to the chat. By the way, there's an insane amount of you guys in the chat, so I'm quite overwhelmed right now. Thank you all for tuning in and supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. Is there a striker from Brighton? Can't remember his name, but just came back from injury. Ferguson? Not so sure we've heard about Ferguson coming back from injury though. Thank you VJ for the plug. Best 4 million defender besides Wout Faes, probably Greaves. I'll probably go there. Haaland, another hat-trick, hopefully. By the way, if Haaland gets another hat-trick, he's going to break a record, if I'm not wrong. Like 3 hat-tricks in a row. Hasn't been done for, I think, maybe 60, 70 years. Insane. You're thinking Haaland or Salah for captain? I mean, I have it on Haaland because I simply think that if he's not mentally ready to play, he wouldn't even get any minutes whatsoever. Keith says, hi from Australia, excited for game week 4. Thank you for tuning in, Keith. Nice to see you as well. Mitoma or Minte? I prefer Mitoma if I had the money. Is this a wildcard team? No, this is my team from game week 1. I just made a couple of transfers. I've actually only made 3 transfers now that I count. So Nkunku out for Rodgers, and then Minte and Salah in for Gordon and Saka. So pretty much everyone else has been the same. Will Lewis Hall start or is he a sell now? There's quite a bit of doubt as to whether Lewis Hall would start. So I don't mind selling him, to be honest. Foden could be playing striker today. For what it's worth, I think there's no real ready replacement for Haaland. That's the thing. Like Alvarez has left already. So I think if they were to play a false 9, Foden has done it before. Anyone have an update on the robot? Let me just refresh the team leaks. But I really don't expect anything so far. Yep, nothing in terms of team leaks for now. Mitoma or Minte? I prefer Mitoma. Haaland and Salah will end up the same points again at the end, I think. Muniz to João Pedro, or should I keep the transfer? This is a tricky one. Muniz to João Pedro or keep the free transfer? I would be tempted to just move Muniz onto João Pedro. If you save it as well, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I'll be tempted to do it. Boo says, I'm sure Foden will come on for Haaland today. Are you on Wildcard, my friend? No, I'm not on Wildcard. Play Wood against Liverpool. I'll take a -4 for Hudson-Odoi out for Minte and play him over Wood. You probably just start Wood. Like in your position, just have to bite the bullet there. Mbeumo or Wood? I would go Mbeumo. Penalties. I'm so anxious about whether Haaland will play or not. To be honest, same here. But I'm slightly less just because I think if he's mentally not ready, he probably just wouldn't start at all. Muniz or Rodgers, who should I start? Tricky. If it's Muniz or Rodgers, I might just start Muniz ahead of him. If Haaland gets another hat-trick, I'll be earning. Fair enough. Is Savio in the squad for City? He is training, so I would expect that he would be in the squad. Palmer or Salah captain? Has to be Salah ahead of Palmer. VJ says today's like target is 200. That would be insane if we can get to 200. If you guys haven't liked, please do drop a like on the stream. Let me just check how many likes we are on. We are on 83 likes. So there's about 300 of you guys watching, which is insane. If you guys could just help me out and drop a like on the stream, that would be very much appreciated. Grain Bread Pastry says, I'm from Australia. Nice to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Any news on Palmer? Not yet. Sorry, FPL Frazzled says, Why Porro isn't first on your bench or playing? You don't have Arsenal, so nothing to hedge against. Could haul against a weakened Arsenal. For what it's worth, I still back that Arsenal will score against Spurs. And I also do think like I prefer Smith Rowe. Basically, the thinking is that I prefer Smith Rowe to come in for me as my first option instead of Pedro Porro. Is Nedeljkovic going to play for Villa this week? I wouldn't bet on it. Start Henderson or Fabianski? I'll start Henderson. Do we think Haaland will play? Sorry, just got in. No news as of yet, but my guess is he will. Muniz has been really poor in the first 3 game weeks, yes, but his numbers have been really good as well. So it's between Muniz and Rodgers. Muniz's numbers have been better, so I would start Muniz. Salah and Jota or Salah and Saka. Salah and Saka. Are price changes really happening really slow this time? There were so many players to rise and fall last night, but very few happened. Yeah, I think that the international break was so quiet and so long this time around because there was pretty much no real significant price changes. So honestly, it felt like ages. So finally we are here for game week 4. But yeah, the price changes have been really weird recently. How come nobody's talking about Savio? Is it because of the rotational risk? Yes, and also that we need to see that he's back and ready to start first. Like, he didn't play in game week 3. My expectation is that he will in game week 4, so let's see. But again, rotation risk is high with him, and I think the person that he'd be competing with for a spot potentially, like say for example, we are in a later game week, because this game week there's a bit of doubt as to whether Haaland would play or not. So Foden could play in the false 9 spot, potentially. My guess is that Haaland still starts, and if Haaland starts, then the right wing spot is likely going to be between Savio and Foden. So it could be a case where Savio starts and then you see him come off for Foden later on. Like lots of different ways that, I mean, Pep is always all about rotation and different systems. So we'll see what happens, but there's too little that we have now to go by for me to just back Savio as a pick. Are you Malaysian? No, I'm Singaporean. Eze for Palmer and then Konate for Robinson. Nah, I'll just keep Palmer and Robinson. Everyone on Salah, Palmer had a nice rest. Want to go against the grain. Palmer was in training, expected to start. Yeah, I mean, I do think Palmer starts, to be honest. Haaland will be even hungrier. Possible. I would think that, I mean, I saw a couple of narratives on Twitter saying that, you know, he's going to want to play better and do well and dedicate the goals to his family friend. So, I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to speculate too much about these kind of things because it's a difficult time for Haaland. So, really, I mean, FPL is a game at the end of the day. And, yeah, I would just say that I leave it on Haaland in terms of captaincy, and then just make sure the vice captain is good. Why is everyone using Rodgers all of a sudden? Well, I mean, what he offers at that price. I mean, find me another 5 million asset that you know is going to start week in, week out, and play for 90 minutes. And plays for attack that is pretty decent. Yeah. So I think it's really just what he offers at this point. Thoughts on Bernardo and Vardiol out, Eze and Konsa in? I don't see a reason why we need to sell Vardiol this week, especially with Ake being injured, it means that Varial's minutes is good for the longer term. So he feels like someone you can keep for quite a while. Bernardo out for Eze makes a bit more sense though. If you're looking for funds, Varial through Konza is just not a way that I would try to find funds. Madueke or Rogers to start? Madueke for sure. It's gone FPL folklore and massively swing if somehow Haaland and João Pedro doubts became through, resulting in blanks. Honestly, it would be classic FPL. Nice haircut, thank you very much. Thoughts on Nketiah? I like Nketiah, and I think he is someone that I might consider like moving forward as a cheap option. I think he's at 5.9 now, if I'm not wrong. So if I see good minutes for him, potentially it could be an Eze and Nketiah double up. I don't mind it. Because Crystal Palace's fixtures are actually decent. They're actually decent. Thoughts? Gabriel or Robinson? I will start Robinson ahead of Gabriel this week. Would you transfer Gabriel to Robertson for free this week? Yes, I would. Diaz or Jota? If I'm picking one this week, I would pick Diaz. Rune, member in the chat, nice to see you. Good Saturday to you as well. Today I did this. Palmer and Watkins to Salah and Wissa. The Wissa move was planned from game week 6 anyways, and I was back and forth with this. Had to make Salah and Haaland happen. Fair enough. And to be fair, if you have Salah in your draft already, have him as a vice captain if you want to captain Haaland. He would be someone that, we've seen it a couple of times last season. I think there was a game where Haaland missed out all of a sudden. He was Luton, I think the game was Luton. And then everyone had vice captain on Salah. And then Salah went on to score really well. Like I think 13 points. So 26 points from Salah captain. So I think this week you're going to have to make sure that you have a good vice captain. Just in case Haaland doesn't play. Which country are you from and where are you based now? I'm from Singapore and I'm based in Singapore. Gibbs White out, Minte or Garnacho in? Minte. Kilman or Paul Torres or another 4.5 defender? I prefer Paul Torres. Paul Torres is probably my favorite 4.5 right now. Either that or Konza. I don't mind Konza as well. Like if you're looking short term though, like really, really short term, then Dunk is fine as well. I've got both Henderson and Fabianski. Who should I start? Henderson. Don't get those thinking Haaland is not going to start. My guess is that he will too. If I don't wildcard in Game Week 6, when is the next best time to wildcard later on? So there's quite a number of windows. Let me just pull up the Fantasy Football Hub fixture ticker. I think it's easier to look at the fixtures there. So this is the Fantasy Football Hub fixture ticker. Let me just make it a little bit bigger. So from Game Week 4 to Game Week 12, like in terms of wildcard windows, I would say Game Week 4 is one. It's a wildcard window here because you can get rid of, let me just scroll to see all the fixtures. So you can get rid of the Arsenal players because they have Tottenham and Man City. So on a wildcard, you could very well get rid of them. So they're here. And also, on top of that, you can jump on the Brighton fixtures because now in Game Week 4, Brighton fixtures are good for 2 game weeks. So wildcard in Game Week 4 would tend to have lesser Arsenal players, have Brighton players, and also have Liverpool players. Right, but Game Week 6 onwards, let me just make the fixture ticker focused on Game Week 6 onwards. That's when the fixture swing for Brentford comes, and also for Arsenal. You see them quite high up here because they have Leicester, Southampton, and Bournemouth. So 6 is the next window. And also Man City has good fixtures from Game Week 7 onwards as well. So also potentially another window for those who want to delay one game week from game week 6. 7 is a decent window. The next one would probably be game week 8. Now, the game week 8 window is probably going to be centered around having many Man City assets and then potentially dropping off some Arsenal because from game week 8 onwards, if I make the fixture ticker... Yep. So you see Arsenal from game week 8 to game week 14, they're all the way at the bottom here. And it's simply because their fixture run from 8 onwards is quite bad. They have Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, and also Man United at 14. Not the most difficult, but yeah, it's just another reason to maybe offload some Arsenal assets after the Leicester and Southampton game. So another window here. Game week 10 is also another window, and game week 12 is also another window. So I won't go through every single one, but every even game week basically from now onwards is a window. So there are many windows moving forward. I would think that it's going to be very dependent on your team structure, how many players you have from teams that start to swing for fixtures. So really just have a look at, I guess, your team structures based on how many players you have from the teams I mentioned just now, and look at which game week is the best for you. Right. There's quite a number of you guys tuning in today, so I'm very appreciative of all of you guys tuning in. Thank you for listening to me ramble on about FPL. If you haven't already, we have already hit 100 likes, so thank you very much. If you haven't already, please drop a like on the stream to help us reach more people. And thank you, Nate, for subscribing. Alright, back to the chat. Rodgers, Adama Traore, or Ahmad. I would still pick Rodgers. Don't see a world in which Haaland doesn't play. Probably point to Sky in favour of Ivar after scoring. Potentially. I mean, I'm in the same boat as you. I think that would likely be the case as well. Can you tell why Isak hasn't had a price drop? I honestly want to know why Dominic Solanke has not seen a price drop. Man has been sold since game week 1. Like from game week 1 onwards, people have been selling him, and yet he has not changed in price. Will Konate start for Liverpool? My guess is yes. If you have 3 free transfers and you make 2, will you have 1 free transfer next or 2 free transfers? You would have 2. In each game week, you will be given 1 free transfer, and then depending on how many you carried forward from the other game weeks, you add that on to your 1 free transfer. Started watching you since you have 10 people in live. Well, the thing is, there's too many questions. There's too many questions. I really want to answer all the questions, but there's too many questions, so I try my best to answer all of them. Champions League is going to mix things up. Yes, for sure. For sure. Triple Brighton on a wildcard overkill. I would think so, because if you have triple Brighton, your game week 6 team would look quite tough in terms of fixtures, because triple Brighton would have Chelsea away in game week 6. So bearing that in mind, I probably only go with 2 Brighton assets. Would you do Gabriel to Robertson? I already have Saka, Erling, Jota and Trent. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because that locks you out of Salah. Because then you would have Robertson, Trent and Jota, and you probably have to sell Jota for Salah. So you might as well just hold on to Gabriel, but find funds from elsewhere to do Saka up to Salah in game week 5. Yeah, so you need to save a spot for Salah basically. Who to transfer Chris Wood out for? Could go João Pedro. Welbeck. I don't mind Welbeck as well. -4 to get Salah. If it's to sell Saka, I don't really like it. Will Cole Palmer start today? My guess is yes. My guess is yes. Wildcard this week. Already have Haaland and Pedro. Which forward would you recommend? How about Watkins? Great fixtures. I do fear about Watkins' form though. So honestly, I would have Havertz. But I know the thought about Havertz is that potentially he's going to drop back a little bit. But I say Havertz because come game week 6 you would want to be tripled up on Arsenal. So that's why I say Havertz. Other forwards that I can recommend. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but if you because Everton's fixtures are decent, but he would definitely be a bit of a punt for sure. He would be a bit of a punt. Robinson or Vardiol? I'll start Vardiol this week. Can you name the 2 best 4 million defenders to own long term, play week in, week out? I wouldn't play 4 million defenders week in, week out. But if I have to name the 2 best, probably Greaves and Wout Faes, probably. But Faes, I'm not sure if he is at 4 million now. I think he's 4.1 if I'm not wrong. Rune says, with both Vissa and Mbeumo in my squad, would you play one of them versus City? Got a front 8 of Rodgers, Iwobi, Salah, Jota, Pedro, Haaland, Mbeumo, and Vissa. Yes, I would play one of them, and I would play Mbeumo because of penalties. Thank you very much, VJ, for the donation. Appreciate it. Always watching the streams and always commenting on videos, so thank you very much for the support, VJ. Are you doing team reviews? You can drop the questions in the chats. I'm just thinking if we should do a wildcard video, wildcard draft, because we did mention that at the start of today's stream. Do you guys want a wildcard draft on stream? Let me know what you guys think. Team reviews, I probably can't do that. If possible, you can drop the questions in the chat, then I'll get to them. Because today we have quite a number of people, so unfortunately I think that might take a bit of time. But thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate that. Jota or DS? Jota or DS? I would choose DS this week. Rune says, please don't put Dominic Calvert-Lewin forward as a good punt ever again. The man is useless. I mean, the fixtures are there. The fixtures are there. That's the only reason why. But I know the thoughts about Calvert-Lewin. But he's on penalties, right? He's probably on penalties. Right, so you guys want a wildcard draft. Alright. Wildcard draft. Rune says, hit the like button. Right, so if you guys want a wildcard, please do drop a like on the stream. I'm going to move over to Plan FPL and let's put up a wildcard draft. Let's do a wildcard. Drop in the chat who you guys want to see on a wild card. I mean, there's obviously going to be Salah and likely going to be Haaland as well. But if there's any other players you want to see in a game week 4 wild card, please drop it in the comments. Let me just get the... let me just get the Plan FPL tool loading. Clear squad. Okay, let's move over to Plan FPL. If I can make the screen a little bit bigger. Right, so let's go with a Game Week 4 wildcard. Let me know who you guys would want to include. Alright, so let's go with the obvious picks first. Let's go with the obvious picks. So some of you guys are saying best goalkeeper pairing, fair enough. Havertz, Buemo, Eze, Diaz. Rune says I plan for Brentford's fixture run. Yep, for sure. Can you make an FPL Game Week 4 wildcard? That's what we're doing. That is what we are doing. Okay, Robertson. Right, okay. So let's do a Game Week 4 wildcard, okay? So players that I would definitely have, and this is also the kind of the thinking process that I use when I make wildcards as well. I start with the essentials. I wouldn't say essentials, but players I definitely want, and then I fit the other players around in terms of fixtures. So essentials for me on a Game Week 4 is Salah and Haaland, right? So we're going to go based on the assumption that Haaland is going to play today. Obviously, if we get leaks later on that Haaland does not play, you can make changes to the draft, right? So the next thing that I will want is also, the next player that I will want is also João Pedro because of Brighton's fixtures. Okay, so these are the first few names. Then I look at Liverpool as well. I want to be tripled up on Liverpool against Nottingham Forest. So I would have Robertson. And initially I had Luis Diaz. But when I look at the kind of minutes for the Liverpool team moving forward, I do feel like it's slightly safer to go with double Liverpool defense. So because of that, I'm going to go with Trent here. So I'll restore Trent back into the team. Okay, so now there we have triple Liverpool already. And we have Brighton here. So the kind of other spot that I would want is Eze. Now I haven't mentioned Eze, but he has a great fixture in Game Week 4. And also moving forward, you will want him from Game Week 6 onwards. Like Game Week 5, he has Manchester United, but Game Week 6, he's going to be in every wildcard as well. So you kind of need Eze. Right, so now the next player I would have is actually, now, I'm going to know what you guys think about this, but I would actually have Jackson on my wildcard. Nicholas Jackson. Right, because to be fair, he feels quite safe for starts. And also, the fixtures are good for him. He will get the chances. It's just a matter of him finishing the chances. So I do like that I can go for Jackson. But I don't mind also the fact that if some of you guys prefer to go for Nketiah here, that is also a decent shout. Right, so I'll leave it to you guys for this last striker spot. There's different ways we can go about this. But for the purpose of the draft that I would have, I'd have Jackson. So keeper pairing wise, okay, let me put in a 4.0 million defender just to look at the budget. Right, so I would have Greaves on the bench, but he's just going to be the bench fodder. All right, so this is easier for us to take a look at the price, the amount of funds that we have left. Okay, so next up, who would we have? So I would argue that I would want Porro in the draft, not for Game Week 4 specifically, but Porro is here because of the later fixtures. So from game weeks, you see, it's really not that bad at all in terms of fixtures from Game Week 5 onwards, and it starts with Brentford at home. So I do think like after this Arsenal game, Porro, with how advanced he is, could very well be a player that I want week in, week out. So Porro is on the bench here in preparation for that. Now the next spot that I would want is also for Semenyo. And Semenyo is also a player that's going to be on the bench. The main reason behind Semenyo being on the bench here is the Southampton and Leicester fixture here. This is when I think from game week 6 wildcards you would want him. Then you bench him here in game week 8 to 10. And then from 11 onwards, you see the good fixture run for Semenyo. So Semenyo is going to be here. Okay, and then let's fill in the kind of keeper spots. So for keepers wise, I think there's an option for you to go for Raya, but I always feel like I would rather not have that much money in the keeper position. And I'm coming around to the idea that a rotating 4.5 keeper combination could work quite well. So what I would do is I'd actually go for Flecken, not as the starting keeper this week. He'd be on the bench. I'd actually go for Verbruggen. So the rotation for Verbruggen and Flecken, after looking into it, is pretty decent. And in terms of overall money that you spend on keepers, this is two 4.5 keepers, so you spend 9 million, as compared to going for a 5.5 Raya and then a 4.0 million bench fodder. So because of that, I would have Flecken and Verbruggen. Alright, so then that leaves us with 15.1 million. Okay, so there's not a lot of money. Now, other spots that you would have, I'm looking at the chat right now. Some of you guys really want Mbeumo. Some of you guys think Mbeumo is a must include. I do tend to agree with that as well. But I know fairly well that it's going to make the budget quite tight here. So say for example we add Mbeumo in, because most of you guys want Mbeumo here. The fixture is just not great, but I do understand why you would want Mbeumo. And I think I have to go Jackson down to Nketiah. Right, this is based on what I think you guys are looking towards in the chat. So fair enough. If there are other players that you want that you haven't seen in the draft, let me know. I'll try to fit all of them in. Alright, so that leaves us with 2 spots and 9.7 million. So for the sake of a team that we're building right now, I'm just going to put Rodgers here in midfield. And then that leaves us with 4.7. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say that I want to include Rico Lewis. So I'm not sure what you guys think about this. But if Rico Lewis somehow manages to continue to find consistent minutes, he could be a very good asset to have. And I also do think like he starts against Brentford this week at least. Based off of the performances that we've seen and also Pep singing praises of him. I think it's going to be hard for Kyle Walker to come back. It's just that there's going to be risk for sure. There's risk in this. But if we go with this draft, what do you guys think? Drop your rating of this draft in the chat and what changes you would make. I'd like to know. What do you guys think about this draft? FPL Error is in the chat. Nice to see you. Best of luck for the week ahead to you as well. When Foden comes back today, Rico Lewis wouldn't start. Honestly, it's probably guesswork right now in terms of the Man City positions. No Chelsea. Well, that's to accommodate for Mbeumo. It's to accommodate for Mbeumo. So I think potentially what I would have done is... Okay, so potentially another kind of combination you can go for is one of the Liverpool defenders out. Okay, so I'm going to do Trent out for, let's say for example, Konza. Okay, let's say Konza. You will have more money to bring Nketiah up to Jackson. So I think there's like variations that you can go with this. And then now because you have an extra Liverpool spot, you can do Mbeumo to Luis Diaz first, to take advantage of the Game Week 4 and Game Week 5 fixture, where obviously Mbeumo has tougher Game Week 4 and Game Week 5 fixtures. And then you transfer Mbeumo in for Luis Diaz in Game Week 6. So that works as well. It's just one of the variations. Now if I move back to the variation we saw just now, Now, say for example, you guys don't want to go for Rico Lewis, then I think the next best option here has to be Konza, has to be Pau Torres. I don't mind Pau Torres as well. Let's put Pau Torres in. Yeah. So I think variations of the drafts, but a couple of the picks that you see here are going to be mainstays. So let me know what you guys think. 7 out of 10 from Joe. Would downgrade a Liverpool defender to a Villa one for fixtures. Fair enough. Prefer Jackson than Nketiah. Fair enough. There's variations for that as well. At least one Arsenal asset defender or Havertz. So my fear surrounding Havertz is basically that if he starts to drop back in a position where it's less than ideal for FPL, come game week 6 we may not want him. And your routes to Arsenal players are pretty clear as well in this draft, in that you can sell either one of Trent or Robertson to Gabriel. You can also sell Salah to Saka as well. So you have routes to Arsenal players. So I'm not too worried about that for this draft. What's the chance that Nketiah starts? I think pretty high, based on what we heard from Glasner. Rune says, overall a nice wildcard team this. You probably would have to have some Arsenal assets though. Alright, so let's try to fit some Arsenal assets in. If I do fit an Arsenal asset, I still think it might be at the expense of... Okay, so let's say for example, if I fit an Arsenal asset in, I go Lewis here, and I have Poro out for Gabriel. So this could work as well. I mean, you don't have to go for Lewis in the spotlight. I know some of you guys don't really want Lewis. I don't want to put Mazraoui in here as well because I'm not going to go for Mazraoui. So you could go for Dunk, for example. Shorter term horizon, but rotates well with Gabriel. So potentially if I want to include one Arsenal asset already, here is Gabriel. And then you can very well do, because you have more money here, you can just do Havertz. I mean, if you want Havertz, there is enough money. That leads you closer to an Arsenal team. But I might just still have Jackson here. So variations of the draft. If I want to fit Gabriel, then probably do that. No Palmer. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have space for Palmer in a Game Week 4 wildcard. I'll be prioritizing other players. Alright, so there we go for wildcard. I'm not going to leave it too long on this screen, but I think we've had a solid structure, and you can just tweak a couple of picks elsewhere. But keeper pairing wise, I like Verbruggen and Flecken. Right, so let's take a look at the last couple of questions that you guys have had. Any last questions, please do drop it in the chat. We will be ending the stream, I think, in about 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If I haven't got to your question, I'm going to do a speed round of answering questions. So just drop it in the chat very, very quickly and we'll get to all of your questions. Okay, let's go. Dean says, good morning. Good morning to you. Who to bench? Muniz, Rogers, or Rashford? Rashford against Southampton. I can't seem to be benching Rashford against Southampton, to be honest. So if I'm benching one, it'll be either one of Muniz or Rogers. I'd be tempted to bench Rogers, to be honest. Why are you benching Poro over Robertson? Both concede. Both concede. I think Fulham's clean sheet odds are slightly better than Spurs. I think there's just a slightly higher chance that Robertson keeps a clean sheet. And in terms of attacking returns wise, I think it's easier for Robinson to get an attacking return than it is for Porro. So that's kind of the thinking behind it. On a wildcard 4, who is the best midfield enabler? What I would say is Semenyo is a good enabler because he brings you closer to a game week 6 wildcard. But you can only really use Semenyo from game week 6 onwards. So if you need that spot, if you need this enabler spot to start in game week 4 and 5, then I will go Minte. Want to bench Gabriel or Pedro Porro? I would bench Porro, I'll start Gabriel. Worth to bring in Trent or Vardio for a hit? No, I wouldn't bring those players in for a hit. Minte and Salah in for Jota and Saka for free. Yeah, I don't mind that. In game week 4 wildcard, Mbeumo and Dunk or Konate and Mitoma. Mbeumo and Dunk. Mark Casley says get rid of Hall / Vanderben and bring in Konza / Dunk. Get rid of Hall. Haaland not focused. Dedicate a hat-trick for a friend. I think I still have Haaland as my captain. I think if he's fine to play, I think I'm alright to captain him. Bruin, thank you very much for the nice message. Take the opportunity. Thank you for a great FPL channel. Thank you very much for the nice comments. Appreciate it. VJ says nearly at 150 likes. Not sure how many we're at now. We are at 143. Alright, we are 7 likes away from 150 likes. I don't think we've ever reached it on a stream. So if just 7 of you guys can just help to click the like button to help us hit 150, that would be a record for the channel already. So if you guys could do it, I really appreciate it. Bench Rogers, Smith Rowe, or Muniz. If I have to pick one to bench, I would spread it out a little bit. I wouldn't want to start both Smith Rowe and Muniz. So I'd probably start Muniz and then Rogers as well, and then bench Smith Rowe. That's what I would do. Thoughts on Davies as a poor man's Porro? I've seen that comment. Fair enough. I can see where that comes from as well. It probably is the case though. I agree with it. Semenyo will score against Chelsea. Good chance. I mean, with the way Chelsea are defending right now, honestly. Best 4.5 million defender to bring in for Hall. It depends how long you need that defender. For 2 game weeks, I like Dunk. Then you walk out in game week 6. If you want someone else, 4.5, Konza, I don't mind as well. Trent has a poster of Porro on his bedroom wall. Thoughts on Garnacho? Should I roll it with him? Garnacho is a tricky one. If you think he doesn't start, you can transfer him out. But my guess is that he does. I think he should start. I mean, they were building up his fitness, but I think now he should start already. Alright, I'll leave it at that. I hope I managed to answer most of your questions. If I wasn't able to, I really sincerely apologize. There was quite a number of you guys in the chat today, so I really appreciate all of you guys coming down on a Saturday morning, bright and early. Thank you for spending your morning with me. Hopefully you get green arrows for game week 4. Let's just do a quick check on the captaincy poll. Yeah, I mean 64% of you guys still have it on Haaland, so fair enough. Same for me as well. I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys for tuning in. Much more content to come from game week 5. There will be a wildcard video that I'll be working on right after this stream. And also, I mean, after we've seen a couple of games from game week 4, then I'll start recording. I'll have it out, I think, by tonight for you guys. So do keep a lookout for that one if you are interested in a game week 5 wildcard. If not, all the best for Game Week 4. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you guys very, very soon. Bye-bye.